Welcome to a video from digitalifestyle.com. This is part 2 of my Modwave secrets, and in this part we're going to look at how you can use the motion sequencer and the arpeggiator to retrigger samples to create rhythmic drum machine style parts, something that immediately isn't immediately obvious when you get the Modwave. So I wanted to show you how I've created that, and I've used that quite a few in my sound pack, so you get a hit and snare kind of effect which you can't normally do. So this is part 2. Now, another technique you can do with the motion sequencer and the arpeggiator is create things for rhythmic effects like drum patterns with kicks and snares. Now, there's a few different ways you could do this. You could do it all in the analog type world, use the motion sequencer to control pitch and make analog snares, but I'm going to actually use samples. With samples, you can't re-trigger them. So if I get a kick drum sample, let's turn that so you can hear me playing that now. But no matter what I do with the motion sequencer, it won't re-trigger that sample. So it can have an effect on it, but as that's already been triggered, you're not going to hear it repeat. So on one, I could have a kick, and on the other oscillator, I could have a snare. So both play at the same time. Not what we want for a drum kit. We want to re-trigger. One way you can re-trigger is through the arpeggiator. And if I change that resolution down to quarters, so it's almost there, but we don't want the snare at the same time. We want the snare to kick in and out. So go to the sequencer, and you notice if we've got something called note advance. So every time we hit a note, the sequencer re-triggers, it restarts this sequence, because the arpeggiator is like pressing the key again. So what we could say is, well, the volume of the snare, I want it as 0, but I want it to be controlled by lane sequence A. Right, so what you can do, now I've got my basic kick and the snare muted, I can do note advance. So if I do note advance, you'll see it each time now. Let's just go down to 4. Let's change that to a quarter. Right, so it's now there, you can see it advancing. So let's do that again. So if we've now got the snare volume controlled by sequence A, now it's that, if I then change that to be a linear transition off, now this kick is always repeated as well, but that's easily solved. We could use the same value as a negative, but let's just quickly check that one. So we could do lane A again, but minus 100. I think that should do it. There we go. Now we can't get higher or anything else because we've run out of samples, but you could use the bit of white noise, and we could have that white noise triggered by, let's go with, say, oscillator 1's envelope. And we're going to make it triggered by the pulse. Now, it's only triggering the once, isn't it? I think we could use the shape to do that. So instead of being triggered by that, we'll make it triggered by lane B. I just sync these up, right? So let's use the shape now. So we'll use the shape lane for layer B. we go, so we're triggering that now. So now we've got a little bit of a hi-hat. So there we go, we've got a kit now. So then you can combine that with something else. Then you can combine it with a double layer like this. And there you can see the sequence for that little pitch on there. So that was part 2. Part 3 will be coming up shortly. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.